Hello, and welcome to today's discussion on banditry in northwest and north central Nigeria, operational challenges and the way forward. Banditry has become a serious threat to security in these regions, disrupting lives, livelihoods, and development. In this video, we'll explore the root causes of this menace, the challenges security forces face, and the solutions needed to restore peace and stability. If you believe that addressing security issues requires awareness and collective action, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future episodes. Also, share this video with your network to spread the word, because solutions start with informed conversations. Let's dive right in.
Welcome to your deep dive. Today, we're diving into banditry in northwest and north central Nigeria. And you've given me some really fascinating research on this. And honestly, it's way more than just the headlines. Thankfully, expert speaker is here to help us figure this all out. So get ready, because this one's going to be a thinker.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's a lot more than just isolated violence, that's for sure. What the research really points to is this intricate web of social, economic, and security factors.
Yeah, it's like a perfect storm, It's like all these different things kind of collided in these regions and created this really fertile ground for banditry to take root. So let's delve into that a bit. I was really struck by the research that highlighted like the day-to-day reality for people in these regions. Like one report I read shared the story about a woman named Aisha. She was forced to abandon her farm after like repeated threats from bandits. And it just got me thinking, imagine, like living with that constant fear that you might not be able to even like feed your family.
Yeah.
That's the reality for many people.
It really is about understanding why banditry has been able to thrive. Imagine a young person in these regions facing very few opportunities, poverty, unemployment, and then suddenly joining a gang. That starts to look like a way out, maybe even a chance for survival, maybe even power.
Yeah. It's almost like asking, what other choice do they have? When you're faced with so few legitimate options and all you see around you are others profiting from doing illegal things.
It's a dangerous pull,
For sure.
And then you add to that weak governance, especially in rural areas, the easy access to weapons, and a system that is just, riddled with corruption. It creates a sense of impunity, like they can operate without any consequences.
And then people feel trapped, like there is literally nowhere else to turn. And to make matters worse, the research also really delved into the challenges faced by, those who are actually trying to combat this banditry. And one of the things that stuck out to me was just the terrain itself.
Oh, absolutely.
It seems like a massive hurdle.
Picture this. Dense forests, twice the size of some U.S. states. I'm talking about forests like the Rugu and Kamuku. And you're tasked with going into those forests and apprehending an enemy that knows those woods like the back of their hand.
Yeah.
It's incredibly difficult to track them, let alone apprehend them.
Yeah. Talk about an impossible task, right? It's like trying to find a needle in this enormous, dangerous haystack. And on top of that, it sounds like it's more than just the terrain. Resources also seem to be a major issue for the security forces.
Yeah, that's another critical point. Many security forces are working with extremely limited manpower, outdated equipment. They don't even have the resources they need.
Wow.
It's like there's this huge gap between how big this problem is and the tools that they have to actually address it. There was even one report where they were talking about this police unit that was operating with vehicles that were barely functional.
Oh my gosh.
How are they supposed to respond quickly and effectively?
Right. And in those circumstances, you can't.
It's incredibly difficult.
Yeah. Talk about a recipe for disaster. That just puts both the security forces and civilians in such a vulnerable position.
Absolutely. And as if all of those challenges weren't enough, there is the ever-present issue of corruption.
Which is probably the most disheartening thing of all, honestly, because it feels like a betrayal. These are the very people that are supposed to be protecting these communities.
Exactly. And it really cuts deep because this isn't just about, legality or breaking the law. It really erodes the core of trust between communities and those who are meant to serve them.
Right.
And when people start to see those in power potentially benefiting from the very chaos that they're supposed to be preventing, it creates such a deep sense of disillusionment.
It's a devastating cycle, right? Because it makes it even harder to gather reliable intelligence. And that's essential in this kind of fight. It almost makes you feel like, is this even a solvable problem? But thankfully, the research doesn't stop there.
No, not at all.
It actually outlines some potential solutions.
It does. And I think that's a crucial point here. We're not just here to, pick apart the problem. We're here to find a way forward, right? And the research, it really emphasizes that this is going to require a multi-pronged approach.
So there's no easy fix.
There is no quick fix.
Yeah.
There's no magic bullet here.
It's not as simple as just like, sweeping arrests or, a big dramatic showdown. This is about dismantling a system that is so deeply ingrained. So where do we even begin?
Well, one thing that really stood out to me in the research was the potential of technology to really kind of turn the tide here a little bit. Imagine authorities having this really clear, real-time view of what's happening, like where the bandits are moving, where their hideouts are, how they're getting their supplies. And there's some incredible technology out there, things like drones, satellite imaging,
Right.
that could really be game changers in this fight.
That makes a lot of sense, right? Especially when you're talking about such huge areas that are so hard to, to actually get eyes on. But I mean, even with all that technology, it can be expensive. And it's not like you can just throw some drones at a problem and suddenly everything is solved, right?
Yeah.
You still need people on the ground who actually know what they're looking at and know the lay of the land.
Absolutely. I think the human element is still so crucial here. And that's actually where another important aspect comes in, and that's building trust within the communities themselves.
Yeah.
It's not just about, surveilling from above. It's about actually cultivating relationships on the ground. And the research really emphasizes how important it is for security forces to work directly with these local communities to actually get to know the people, build rapport, and to encourage them to feel comfortable sharing information.
Of course.
Because local communities, they can be the eyes and ears in this fight.
Oh, 100%.
But they need to feel like they're being heard, that they're being protected, and that they're empowered to actually make a difference.
Yeah, it's about building those bridges, making people feel like they're part of the solution instead of being, caught in the crossfire. And I think that's such an important point. But at the same time, let's be real, all of this feels like a very long-term game. And in the meantime, people are suffering. So what can be done right now, immediately, to kind of bring some relief and start to improve the situation on the ground?
Well, you're right. Immediate action is crucial. And thankfully, the research does highlight some very practical steps.
Okay, good.
One of the most significant is simply increasing the manpower and resources that are allocated to these security forces. It seems very straightforward.
Right.
But you would be surprised how much of a difference that can make. You need to have enough trained personnel who are equipped with the right tools and resources to be able to effectively patrol these vast areas and to respond quickly and decisively when something happens.
Yeah, give them the tools to actually do their jobs, right?
Yeah.
And to do them safely and effectively without being completely outmatched from the get-go. But I imagine that even with more resources, you're talking about trying to coordinate, the military, the police, intelligence agencies. That's got to be incredibly difficult.
Logistically, it's a huge challenge, and one of the things the research really stresses is the importance of seamless interagency cooperation.
Yeah.
And it's not just about sharing information. It's about really breaking down those walls that often prevent a really unified and effective response.
Yeah.
So you need a unified command structure,
Okay.
a really clear understanding of what the goals are, and a commitment to working together seamlessly across all of those different agencies.
Everyone on the same page.
Exactly.
Working together, sharing the same goal, which is ultimately a safer, more stable region. It sounds so straightforward, but I imagine actually putting that into practice is much harder than it sounds.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But even with perfect coordination, even with the best intelligence, we can't ignore the elephant in the room here, which is corruption.
Right, because even with, the best of intentions, if you have people within the very system that's supposed to be combating this problem who are actually benefiting from it, then all of that effort is for nothing.
It undermines the entire foundation of trust, and it makes finding a real solution near impossible. And the research is very clear on this. Tackling corruption is non-negotiable. It means having really strong oversight, robust anti-corruption measures, and a system that holds individuals accountable for their actions. But perhaps more importantly, it's about showing these communities that the system can work for them.
Yeah.
That they can rely on it for protection, and that their voices are actually being heard.
It's about changing the entire narrative, right?
Yeah.
Showing them that positive change is actually possible.
Exactly.
It's not just about catching the so-called bad guys. It's about creating a system where those individuals don't even have the opportunity to exploit and harm in the first place.
Absolutely. And that's where this concept of investing in long-term solutions becomes crucial. And one of the big ones that the research highlights is rural development.
Okay.
So imagine a region where young people actually have access to quality education, healthcare, viable job opportunities.
Right.
You're essentially giving them alternatives,
Yeah.
a path to build a future for themselves that doesn't involve illegal activities.
It's about making it so that joining a bandit group isn't even like on the radar as
Exactly.
an option.
It's not the most appealing option anymore.
Right, exactly, because they have other opportunities.
Exactly. And I think this is a really crucial point to remember because this isn't just a Nigerian problem, right?
Right.
This is a global problem.
Yeah.
The same factors that are contributing to the rise of banditry in Nigeria, we're talking about poverty, lack of opportunity, weak governance.
Yeah.
We see these things playing out in different parts of the world.
So it's like what we learn here, the strategies that we see working here, could actually have an impact far beyond Nigeria.
Absolutely. It's about addressing those root causes. And that's a lesson that applies everywhere.
It really shows you how connected all of this is, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about security and trying to stop the violence. It's about looking at all of these other things, these social and economic factors that are really contributing to this feeling of instability.
Exactly. And I think one of the things that the research really drives home is that these security challenges, they're rarely just isolated incidents, right?
Right.
They're all connected to this complex web of social, economic, and political dynamics.
Right.
And when we're talking about really creating lasting solutions,
Yeah.
it requires us to think long term, to really commit to unraveling those root causes and then having the courage to actually do something about them.
Okay, wow. We have covered some serious ground here today.
We really have.
Yeah. If you are listening to this and you feel like you just went through like an intellectual obstacle course, I totally get it. We've gone from like navigating dense forests and, talking about these like really desperate circumstances to like high-tech solutions and, the importance of talking to each other and building relationships. So it's been quite a journey.
It has.
But I have to ask, for you, after looking at all of this, what really stood out to you? What's like sticking with you after this deep dive?
I think for me, it's that really stark reminder that these security issues are never simple.
Yeah.
They're just not. We've seen how geography, poverty, the way that a country is governed, even technology, all of these things come together to create these situations.
It's true.
And it just underscores that, if you really want to find lasting solutions, you can't just treat the symptoms.
Yeah.
You got to dig deeper. You got to look for those root causes, those really ingrained systemic issues that are fueling these cycles of violence and instability.
Yeah, and I think that's what's so valuable about, taking the time to really do a deep dive.
I agree.
We've only just scratched the surface here, but I hope that you're walking away with, not just a better understanding of this really complicated crisis, but also with like a little bit of hope. Like there are paths forward, there are things that can be done. And if you are interested in learning more, and I have a feeling you are, be sure to check out our show notes where you'll find links to additional resources and other perspectives on this incredibly important issue. And until next time.
Thank you for staying with us through this important discussion on banditry in northwest and north central Nigeria, operational challenges, and the way forward. If you found this conversation insightful, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to stay informed on future content. Your voice matters. Use the comment section to suggest the next topic or book you'd like us to explore in our next episode. We'd love to hear your ideas. And don't forget to share this video with your network to spread awareness and inspire solutions. Together, we can drive meaningful change. See you in the next episode.